Kristina, welcome to the show. I have been so excited to chat with you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's always such a gift when I get to be on podcasts that I listen to. So it's like so fun. You're like in my ears pretty often. So I'm honored to be here.
Wow. Well, that's a huge, huge compliment to me that I make your playlist. So thank you. Okay. So we were just chatting a little bit offline and I was saying how I had a hard time even choosing like one angle to take this because you are such an expert on so many things. So we're going to dive in. We're going to see where this conversation goes, but I know that all my listeners are just going to walk away with so much value. So I think maybe selfishly a little bit, what I want to know and what I think is a juicy place to start is you built a 7-figure business. You have a community. You have an agency, not to mention you're a mama of a little one. It's a lot to carry. So like, what does behind the scenes look like for Kristina in terms of like working and getting things done, but taking time for the family too?
Yeah. Well, I will say, just to be honest, it's always a balance and like something that I've always struggled with is like the work-life balance element of it all. Like you mentioned, I'm a new mom. So we were just jamming out on that about, it's really tough to find the balance of being a mom when you love your work so much and you love your baby and you're trying to figure out kind of all the pieces of it. And it's so much. But I've been really blessed in the sense of, I've always seen the vision for the Social Snippet, which is my agency, to have a team. And so we've always had a really high performing, amazing team, amazing staff, people who really like, I always hire people who are better than me. Like I'm under no impression that I am the best at anything. I always hire smarter, sometimes cooler and funnier people than me. And, they do great work. So I have really been leaning into outsourcing over the years and, finding the right people and even sometimes outsourcing before we were ready financially, knowing and really trusting that we needed the help and we needed the support. So that's been really kind of key. And even, I think we're in such an exciting age where we can leverage things like AI and there's like really cool things that we're able to do that we haven't been able to do before. But I take all the help I can get. My husband's mostly a stay-at-home dad. Like really like lots of stuff's happening behind the scenes in my like family life to make all of this possible, which I know isn't the case for all people.
Right. Okay. So, I'm curious, who was your first hire besides you and Maria?
Yeah. So you know what? It's funny. When we started the Social Snippet almost 5 years ago, we were just a social media agency. Now we do podcasts as well.
Yeah.
And we very early on were believers that we did not need to do everything. Like it's almost like we skipped the super scrappy phase where people are like, you read the books, you do the thing, and you're in the work. And it's actually when I coach people what I tell them to do, where I'm like, do the thing until you can't do the thing. Like move on to the, build it up. And so really early on, probably like a month or two into business, we hired someone we knew to be a little bit of like, not like an assistant, but like to do some like social media graphics. And, now I think back on it, we really overpaid her for, for her work, which now I'm kind of like, we just were like desperate for that help. But we had no idea, like we had never worked in an agency setting. So really we built our agency from absolute like, vision, which has been absolutely incredible. But, I would say if for an entrepreneur who's listening, when they're figuring out what to outsource, I think it's really just looking at the stuff that is not your zone of genius and leaning in there and being like, okay, I know that that's not where I'm best. Like for me, I'm not super type A. So admin work is like actually kind of hard for me and it takes a long time to get done. So like we have an amazing bookkeeping team. We have like an awesome admin assistant. Like I have a right hand, like all of these things have been really important. So that's where I would start is like looking at what's taking up brain space. And I always look at it like how much money can I make with that kind of time? Like, how much money can I make if I'm not spending, 3 hours trying to learn Claude myself and, I have someone on my team can do it and they can report back and kind of help me think differently.
So good. And I love that that's such a good point. And it's true that not only finding somebody who can do that and then a report back, but then using AI as kind of like your assistant in all of it is just can be such a beautiful way. And I love that we are moving more into like using AI for the business aspect, not just the copy and content piece, which it serves great for a few things, but, I love that. So I'm really glad you brought up the Social Snippet right away because I want to talk about going viral and you work with like I've done consulting and so you have people come to you and they're like I want to go viral. And so like how do you toe the line with them and just be like this is the route that we can go? What let's see. Where do I want to go with this? Like how do you go viral? How realistically is it to go viral or is it is it even serving us to go viral?
Yeah, this is actually like one of my hot topic issues, Kylie. I don't know if you know this about me, but it's a hot topic issue because I am just such a big believer of, can virality do a lot for your business? Yes. I've actually seen virality blow people's businesses up, right? Where an influencer uses something in the right way and then people rally around something, or like I've seen it used. It's very rare. And you need to have extreme tenacity and consistency to see that. Like, so it's posting multiple times a day. It's testing. It's getting the negative comments. It's getting the hate. It's doing all of those things. For me, we work with over 80 clients. And so I've worked with probably, I would say in 5 years, I've probably worked with 250, 300 businesses, never mind all the people that we've coached and have women. So I've seen people try different things on social, obviously, right? And one of the things that comes to mind for me is multiple times we've had people with very large audiences come to us trying to sell low, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Low product.
Low ticket. Yes. I was like low income. That's not what I'm looking for. A low to mom brain over here. Low ticket products. And they're not even able to sell a $15 t-shirt. Like they have 75,000 followers. They can't sell a $20 product. Why? Because they don't have a community. And so what they have is audience, or they have people, but they don't actually have a community of people who are ready to buy. And I'm in the business of business. So I'm in the business of money in the bank. So for me, it's like, I actually don't care. I could have 8,000 followers for the rest of my days. Should your followers grow as you're posting? Yes, your community should grow. But I don't aspire for 100,000. I actually just aspire to have people who buy every single time I go to sell something. So for example, with my High Vibe Women brand, we're selling a brunch. We've sent out one email that basically sold more than half of it. We posted a few Instagram stories. Today we're sold out. How that works? It's community. People are buying from me. Like, it's not about the fact that we have a massive audience. It's people are waiting to buy. And so I really think that, I did go viral one time, and I'll tell the story really quickly because it's actually kind of funny, but I went viral on a video that said, it was about having a very clear Instagram. I still stand by it. It said, if you are not a chef, you shouldn't have pasta on your feed. And the whole concept behind it was kind of like, people should know what you sell when they go on your feed. And people ripped me. Like, they were like, how dare you tell me what to post? Like it was like way worse than that. And I was like, oh, I'm just like not really interested in this type of life. And I'm back to being like, back to my people over here who always buy from me and who are excited. Yeah. So I think you need to have that thick skin with virality. And I do get people who want big metrics. And honestly, I will tell you, typically when people come to us and they're like, I want virality, I refer them elsewhere.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. Okay. I want to dive down this rabbit hole a little bit with this building a community, nurturing them, because I am so in agreement with you that even if you have a massive email list, but they don't buy, what is it doing for you? So a smaller email list that's more engaged, who you can send out an email and sell to, is so valuable. And then I have my women who are my masterminds and my clients who are like, well, my podcast isn't hitting these numbers. And I said, but if you were to sell to that smaller amount of downloads or followers, would they buy? And if the answer is yes, we're doing the right thing.
Yes, totally.
And so social podcast news, same thing. But what I want to know is like, okay, how do we build that really juicy community who's like, whatever you sell, I'm here for?
Yeah, I think in my experience of it and seeing people do it, right? Like, there's just so many ways, but really when I think about like the ultimate way, it's building relationships with the people who are in your network. And so whether that's on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on a podcast, like the thing I love the most about podcasting, because I imagine lots of people listening are podcasters. Like, I love podcasting for the intimacy of it. Like, right. So when people come to me and they're like, I've got 40 downloads, I'm like, how are those people going to be VIP for you? Like, how do you treat those people like those are 40 people in a room that they paid to be there? Like, and it's people are so like, oh, it's only 40 or oh, it's only 80. And I'm like, so if you sold 80 of your offer, how would you feel? Like, if you sold 40 of your offer, how would you feel? Probably great. You're probably only looking to sell 10. So that's a great opportunity. And I even think about this with my retreats. Like, I run retreats or, mid-ticket, I would say. And every single time I do a podcast episode being like, here's what's happening at the retreat. Here's what happened at the last one. Here are the takeaways. They always sell seats. Always. I can always see an uptick. Right. And so I think it's really like when I think about how do you build a community, it's really engaging with your people and having conversations and serving them. And when you serve them, like, through a podcast, through social, whatever that looks like, then people are really like indebted to you, and not in a manipulative way, but in a wow, like there are people, like I think about Chris and Lori Harder. I coach in their mastermind. I've been in their world for a few years. The way that I got into that was I listened to Chris's podcast, and I had this mental block on running a business because I was like, oh, when you have lots of money, that means you can't be generous. Like when you have lots of money, that means like you're a different kind of person. And I was like, wow, like if I was like an entrepreneur, I think I'd be someone who like loved generosity. And I think I'd be somebody who really wanted to serve others. And like, I wouldn't lose myself in that. And seeing that they didn't, and seeing the way they talked about it really inspired me to think differently. And so I think you have this opportunity to actually really inspire people, but also encourage them and love on them, and get market research from them, and then build your offers around these people who are part of, your come up. And so, I mean, tactically, there's so many ways, whether that be serving them in an email, serving them on a podcast, serving them with a quiz on social. Like there's just so many ways you can do it. But really what it is about relationship and building offers for your people.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. So how do you feel that you have honed in on offers that are perfect for your audience? Like what steps did you take to really make sure that this is the offer that they need?
So many conversations, Kylie. So many.
Yes.
Like, so on the social snippet side, really the way it kind of went down was that we were in a mastermind, and I was like, okay, like I don't know anything about entrepreneurs. I know lots about social, but like I've never sold social media. And so we were in this mastermind, and I did a audit on like almost 100 people's Instagrams. Like I would go through it for free, half an hour. And at the end, people would always ask, they'd be like, oh my goodness, like I could not, by the way, guys listening, I could not do that in this season of life. Like that was a season where I had more time, but I did 110 or something. And I would give a bunch of feedback. And at the end, people would always ask, like, how do I work with you? Like, how do I stay connected with you? Like it was very positive. And why I like really leveraged that, and why I actually think that was like the secret sauce, was I actually was talking to my ideal clients and learning about what their woes were, right? Like I was hearing them be like, putting stuff on Instagram, and I was like, none of you know at this time how to use hashtags. Like it's crazy. All of you guys are using hashtags wrong. So my resources started to become about hashtags. Or at the time, like when, pinned posts started, when reels were getting started, these things were things people didn't really understand how to leverage. But my social media brain and my gift was able to, take that and be like, okay, this is actually how you do it. And this is how you do it in your context. So I was able to really learn from them. So I think, someone listening, it doesn't have to be 100. It could be 10. It can be 5. But having conversations with people and actually learning from them, like what it is that they're looking for. Because too often, and Kylie, I know you probably see this more than I do, so many people, they create offers and they're for the wrong people. Or like I know somebody who, she was like, it was like a time management kind of offer. And she was like, oh my gosh, Kristina, I made this 50-page guide. And I was like, 50-page guide for someone who has trouble time management. Like that's not a fit. And so when we hear from the people, hey, actually it'd be really helpful if I had a quick offer of like a hashtag bank at the time, or, it'd be really helpful right now. It's like, I listen to that and I listen for podcast episodes. Like, and then that's a great way for me to convert my like, kind of cold audience to a warmer audience, because I'm telling them like anything they want to know. I'm not gatekeeping anything. Yeah. So the long and short of it really is just relationships and conversations, which people don't do enough because they're looking for quick results. And that's unfortunately the slow way to do it.
Oh my gosh, Kristina, I just love you even more and more, because these are the things I tell my audience. I'm like literally in my mastermind, I'm like, go out, have 3 to 5 conversations. I'm not talking text. I'm not talking a conversation with Chat Daddy or Claude, like actual conversations. Get on a Zoom or a voice message or whatever, but we need to hear the words they are saying. Yeah. So then we can create offers and podcast episodes and marketing material. And it's so validating, because when my clients are like, well, I did it. And oh my gosh, like I had no idea, and it's like, this is, yes, take the time. And we're not talking like 100 conversations. I mean, if you can have if you have something that can give you that, great. But the other thing that I always say, and Kristina, we've DM'd on Instagram, is like the voice message on Instagram can be such a great way to get into easy dialogue with your ideal customers without saying,
Totally.
let's set up a Zoom, so it's like, yes, everything you said.
And also, Kylie, sorry, not to belabor this,
No.
but I was just going to say the other piece too is like, obviously my business, like we grew it to 7 figures in annual revenue in 3 years. And so from nothing, like I always say, I'm like, I have a master's degree in leadership. I have no reason to be in business. Like it's like, no business being in a business. But why I tell you this is because we did a lot of that through relationship, and a lot of those audits, what those turned into were clients. And even more than that, what it turned into was a really incredible referral network. And that's how our community got started, was where people would be like, well, I actually don't need social media help. But, 2 years later, they'll introduce me to someone else. It's been 4 years since I was in that mastermind. I still get referrals from it. Still, like to this day. So you never know where these conversations can lead. And so I'm just encouraging people to have a really open-minded heart to that. And also just by serving people, it's always incredible what can kind of come of it.
Oh, yes. Okay. These types of conversations get me so excited because in this day and age where we can just, huddle up in our desk in our own room and talk to AI, even when people are talking about wanting to grow their podcast, I'm like going on other podcasts, getting in front of other communities. How can you serve other communities and just be in relationship with other entrepreneurs? That's how we build our business. And so and you are so amazing at that. So
thank you. Well, it's also, I think, a lot of ways, like it's a learned skill and it's a muscle flex, right? Like it's something you don't need to go to 100 events in a year. I did it one year. Like it wasn't 100, but it was like, it must have been 70. Like, and it was incredible. And I learned a ton and we spent a ton of money and our revenue doubled that year. And like there were some wins, but that wasn't a sustainable way to do it. I knew the minute that I got pregnant, I was like, I can actually never do it like that again. And so I know motherhood and business is a different thing. And so I really just find your ways of doing it and being in a relationship. And it doesn't have to be an expensive mastermind. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It can be the coffee with somebody from your chamber of commerce, and that can absolutely change your perspective. So there's lots of opportunity to build community.
So good. I love that. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. So I want to talk about the podcast and some of your podcast guidance, but then I also want to talk about your membership as well. High Vibe Women. And so let's start with the podcast. Sure. How long have you had it? And tell me about what that journey has been like for you.
Yeah, so I think it's coming up on 4 years this July. And so it's been a bit of a journey. And, it's one of those things where it is something that I think naturally comes naturally to me in the sense of like talking, like, cause I love to do it and I love to listen and I love to, I ask questions and that's always been part of my personality. But I am somebody who likes fast results with things, and podcasting is one of those things that grows over time. And so there have been many times I've never missed a week, but there have been so many times where I've been like, is this like bang for my buck? Like, and really what I've realized has been how incredible it's been. Like one, it provides like the most amount of like authority opportunity that I like always don't even realize. Like I get the opportunity to speak on a lot of stages and do that kind of stuff. And that feels so obvious, right? Like, oh yeah, like I get to speak to 100 people. Like this is awesome. Or I run 200 person events. Like people know what I do. Like this is great. But like that consistency, like the amount of times people tell me like, I wait for this every week. Like, I'm like so excited to listen to this. This has changed my perspective on something. Or I use it as a resource with coaching. Like there's just so many ways. So it's been really, really incredible. But I will say something that like, for those of you listening, if you're like, oh, I haven't cracked it yet, or like, it does take time. My podcast downloads doubled last year, because we got really tight with our titles and stuff like that, which was great. But at the same time, like, it's like, I'm like, not doing thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads every time. Right. So, I think there's obviously like, I see lots of room for it to continue to grow. But it's been just such a gift and the ultimate networking hack, which I'm sure Kylie, you can appreciate as well. So it's like you get on with people who like you maybe never would have had the opportunity to, or, you get to have really fun conversations like this. And then you have no idea where these things lead. So it's been an amazing journey.
I couldn't agree more. I think it is such a fun way to and like doing podcast swaps is such a great way to just like, again, start on Instagram with a DM, chat back and forth a little bit and be like, hey, you want to do a podcast swap? And then before you know it, now you have another person that not only you get to support them and their business, but then vice versa. So I love it. What would you say, has been some of when somebody comes to you and they're like, how do I grow my podcast? What do you tell them? I'm so curious.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Now I feel like I'm like Steve Jobs is asking me like a question about an
Oh no! No, because I know that you are brilliant at this, and I have. So let's do it. Let's dive into it.
Yeah. So for me, it's like the big stuff, like how to grow a podcast. Like the first thing for me is always guesting, like on other people's podcasts. Like I think one, it's like low hanging fruit because you get to do like things like this, like a swap, and you get the opportunity to connect with somebody. And like I have had so many of those partnerships that I've done turn into like referral partnerships, future clients, like really cool stuff. So I've been really blessed with that and love that. So I would say, you know, guessing is number one. Number two, in terms of growth, I would say promotion, which is like a basic one, but I actually feel like people under promote their podcasts, me included, actually. Like the other day, I was like, I don't think I've ever, like in the last like probably 6 months, ever gone on a story and talked about a podcast episode, being like, hey, and I know that works. When I'm like, hey, I actually just recorded this awesome episode with my friend Kylie, and she just like, you know, spewed all the secrets about how to grow a podcast, you know, using a quiz or whatever. Like people are like, oh, curious. I know that stuff works. And like, I still can't get myself to do it capacity wise, but I think we can't do it all. But yeah, so I would say really like under promoting it. And I would say, you know, moving in that direction of trying to grow it more and more is having more touch points with it, right? Where it's like showing up in a story, you know, doing a reel, maybe you do a carousel, you do collaborative posts, you do lives, you go on LinkedIn. Like the Threads has been awesome for growing podcasts. I love to answer questions people have about LinkedIn, especially with podcast episodes. So that's been really great. And which leads to another way that I've used it, which is and encourage other people to do it to grow your podcast, is I make a lot of my podcast topics about things that I would coach on normally or that I can like serve my clients. So it's really easy for if someone asks me a question and maybe I have a boundary on like, you know, maybe in the way I coach, or maybe I'm not like, oh, I'm going to like spend hours and hours DMing with this person about LinkedIn. I'm like, here's an episode, check it. And usually that can kind of scratch the itch for people. So that's always a good way to grow your podcast. One, because you can, you know, literally use it as a resource, send it, get downloads from that. But two, you know, whatever resource you're making, people are searching for. And so I've gotten really tight on titles, my team has, so that this way we're like, okay, would people actually ask that? Because before Kylie, all of our episodes were kind of like, chat with Kylie. And like, you know, and
you're not alone. It's okay. It's okay. Cutesy.
Wait, Kylie, reverse Uno. What do you think is the best way to grow a podcast?
I mean, honestly, it's so in alignment with what you're saying, getting in front of other audience. And it doesn't have to be on the podcast, but we know that if we go on another podcast, it's full of podcast listeners, so they'll easily come over. Yeah. But even like when I've gone and, you know, Kathy Heller invited me to come into her community, and I saw a huge boost in new followers and things. So just like, or speaking at an event, like if you, Kristina, your speakers probably get a huge boost there. And so again, it all comes back to networking, but SEO, I'm all about SEO. It truly is such a sweet ticket that we can be doing without too much of a lift, and it compounds over time. And that is why Jenna Kutcher can hang up her podcast and still get tons of downloads, because she's got thousands of episodes that have these keywords in them, these SEO. So that's what I'm always like, hang in there. And we've gotten way better people have gotten way better at titles, because same thing, moms don't want to go and be like, okay, what is the chat with Kylie about? Like, give me the details so I know, because I have 20 minutes and I don't want to be scrolling through 100 episodes to find the one I want right now, kind of thing.
Well, even I laugh because it's like sometimes one of my podcasts will do like so well, and I'll say to my like our manager on our team, Ben, he's the best. But I'll go to Ben, and I'll be like, Ben, like, why did that do that well? And he's like, I don't know if I accidentally clickbaited people with that. Like, he's like, the title was just really good. And I was like, okay, the content's good. The content is good too. But it's like, it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. And I'm even seeing too, Kylie, today I actually messaged our team and I was like, why are all these episodes from 2023 being downloaded? Like today, like so episodes that like were recapping a business event I ran. Like, so I'm like, someone posted this somewhere, you know what I mean? There's something. So it's like, it's amazing. And like, I think it's just such an amazing hack. And in terms of like long-term content, because we know from social, like it doesn't last long. And even like LinkedIn lasts a little better than Instagram, but a week. But podcasts, like people download my podcast from years ago now still.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so here's the one area I'm not actually super great at with podcast and promoting is on social media.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing work? Because I know that like the pulling the clip directly from it isn't always performing the best, but
Yeah.
what are you seeing work for your clients, for you?
Yeah, a few things. One, I would say, one of the things I do see work pretty well is what I call a banger reel. My team hates when I call it that, but I will tell you what it is, which is like a mashup of like the conversation.
Oh,
That's like kind of like the Diary of CEO style, where you're not
yes.
giving away too much, but you're creating like a little bit of FOMO, and then pairing that with like a mini chat so that people
Mm.
immediately can. I know people have mixed thoughts on mini chat. I also have mixed thoughts on it, but it is a great engagement tool. Like you just like can't knock it. And it's like, I love it for being able to just get information to people quickly and get people the resources they're looking for. So that's one. The other thing I've seen work pretty well is like carousels. So carousels are awesome because like really fundamentally, like it's keeping people in the app. So if you pair that with a mini chat, maybe it's like,
Mhm.
I chatted with a podcast SEO expert, and here are the 5 things you wouldn't expect about podcast SEO. And then people could share it with each other. There's some like kind of some juice there.
Mhm.
Something that takes some thought work that I think I'm too lazy often to do. So I'm just gonna put that out there that if you're like can't do it, don't worry, me neither. Is actually finding trends and building your
Mhm.
content around a trend. So, if there's a trend out right now, like how can you tie your podcast into it and then
Yeah.
make a many chat there? So this way it's like, oh, instead of it's like DM the word or like comment the word, whatever, and then I'll send you the link. But you're getting kind of new people kind of hooked into it. But success leaves clues. Like you have to see what works with your audience. Like for me, it's even like email works for my audience, like actually like in terms of sales.
Yeah.
I would say Instagram stories work. My clips are fine. Like, I think people, it's consistency. I think people see them. I think they know what to expect from them. Do they get watched? Yes. Probably as much as other things, no. But you just have to see really what your audience responds well to and
Mhm.
then double down in those areas.
I love it. We were just talking about this in my mastermind. Do you do anything with Facebook?
Like ads?
No, like posting on Facebook.
Yes, but not probably to the extent you probably think.
Oh, okay. Nope, that's okay because we had this big conversation about like exactly as you said, like figuring out people are like, should I be on Facebook still?
Yes.
Again, gotta test with your audience. You gotta find out. So anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
Honestly, even like LinkedIn, I'm actually really
Yeah.
surprised with LinkedIn because I've got a pretty good following over there. I think I'm like pretty close to 10K, and we have our social snippet page and have a women page, and we're like posting things, and there's content going out like literally 24/7, and it's great. I am always surprised how few people have ever said to me they found me on LinkedIn. Like, and
Right.
but the quality of the people that come are worth all the posting. So it's like I might get 2 or 3
Right.
clients a year from it, but they're amazing clients. So I'm not going to stop. But then it's like, but I get better results from Instagram because it's more homey. It's like where it's like my
Mhm.
kind of my home space. So you really just have to see what works. I don't spend any time on TikTok. I repurpose email
Mhm.
on my LinkedIn newsletter. So like you can get kind of
Mhm.
creative, but you really just have to see where people are finding you. But I do find I do get a lot of like upticks when I do like speak at live events or
Yeah.
I actually do this thing which might be helpful for podcasters who are listening who also speak. Is I typically will record an episode about whatever it is that I talked about and I release it on the day it came out. So, or at the day I'm speaking event. So I spoke at Podfest this year about how to use live events to grow your podcast.
So cool.
And that day, it was like a Saturday, I dropped a podcast episode and that was my call to action. Or like, or I created a freebie or whatever. But, there's lots of things that you can do. But I think it's really about doubling down on what works for your audience.
Oh, 100%. So good. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you have to offer your audience, and that is the high vibe women community.
Yes.
So what made you guys decide that it was time to launch something like this, and what makes it stand out and different from other communities right now?
Yeah. So it's so interesting. Obviously, not obviously, actually, I'm Canadian. I live in Canada. And so I'm like a little American girl light over here because I go to the States all the time. But so we were going to the US all the time to grow our business. Like, so
Yeah.
we would go to events, masterminds, networking events. And I saw many networks and communities I'm in the US. And when we'd come home and we'd be like, there's like all these incredible Canadian women. None of them are gathering. We're not gathering. And so we started running these dinners. They were like super low key. We always joke that we like made $9 on the first one, but like didn't factor in our gas. Like, so it was like this whole thing. Like it was never like a money making scheme.
Yeah.
And we just saw the power of bringing these women together. Like it was just, they'd sit down and it would be transformational. They would be doing podcast swaps. They were doing business together. They were hiring each other. People would like leave those dinners and be like, I made 10K. Like it was just so normal. Like, and that's actually still the case, like, you know, even now. And so we created High Vibe Women because we actually had a group of friends. We called ourselves the High Vibe Women. And really the idea behind it was just like kind of this concept of feeling limitless in business, like that, like really anything was possible with like an amazing group of women. And so we continued to kind of meet. We started running larger scale events. First one was 80, then 120, and then now we're up to like 200, 225 twice a year. And then we have an online community that has over 100 members. And then we do pop-ups throughout the year at different cities, which I love. And so it's been really amazing. And Americans are so welcome. We have tons of American members and people come from the US, which I think is the best. And it's so funny because people will come from the US and I'm always like, you guys have so much stuff. And I think that's the amazing part about it is that there is something so special about this group of women. Like I have two people that come from California every time. And I'm like, it's so far. Like, it's okay if you have to miss one. And they're like, no, like they're like, this is a very special group of women. And I think, very underserved, like in terms of, you know, what's possible for us and, or what's like been told that's what's possible for us. And I think there's just so much work to be done for all women, but especially I think us Canadians is like with each other. And so, yeah, that really just came from that. And our agency just grew so fast by growing our network, like in the US, that we couldn't even imagine what it would be like to pour that back in at home. And it's been amazing to see like not only the results that we've gotten from it, because of course, like people come, they want to launch a podcast or they have some social they want to do. And that's been amazing. But really, it's been the like, oh my God, this has changed my life. I met my business bestie. I met someone I'm doing my like business with, my new business with. I'm like, yeah, like I left a toxic relationship and I didn't know that it was toxic and like, just like really incredible stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. What do you feel that the membership has taught you?
So it's interesting, and I'll share this because I don't think I've ever talked about this on a podcast before, but we used to have another membership before that was called the Social Business Club. And we had about 35 members in it for literally 2 years. Like we could not scale this. And I was like, and the women would come to these calls and they would be like, and it was weird. We saw women all the time. Like people were not converting. Like we're like, don't you guys want to like learn social media stuff from us? Like we would do templates every week. We'd send them trending sounds. We were like doing the most for this $37. Okay. So like I was working for this $37. And we were on the verge when I had my baby. We were on the verge of just kind of being like, this is done. Like, honestly, we can't scale it. Memberships are dead. Like, this is done. And we went to the spa, like my 6 week, I was done after my C-section, finally allowed to go into a hot tub. And we're sitting in the spa, and Maria had brought up the fact before. She's like, what if we converted this into a High Vibe Women membership? And I was like, no, because I had the sunken cost fallacy. Like I was like, we had put so much work into this other membership. We had 35 really engaged people. The people who came told us how incredible it was. They were always referring people. We had kind of like a bit of churn, but it wasn't crazy. We just couldn't attract new people. And I was like, hey, I think we're doing too many things. And I think we should streamline this into a High Vibe Women membership. And Maria's like, yeah, I told you that, like literally, last year. And we launched it and we have over 100 members. It's always growing every day, which is amazing. And what it really taught me, one, is you can't outwork a bad offer. Like if you don't if people don't want what you're selling and you've tried the things, it's okay to be like, all right, this isn't it. And really just pivoting and seeing what works. And we actually relaunched it at double the price and have almost 4 times the amount of the people. So, and we do way less work in it. So it's just amazing, but it was the offer just wasn't a match for people. It just wasn't a match. So that's really what it taught me. And then the other thing what taught me is you really get what you give in a community. And I know this from being in my own communities, like that's how I grew my business. But seeing the women who are in our community who get the most value actually has nothing to do with me and Maria. It's about showing up at the calls. It's about pouring into other people. It's about asking questions. It's about, like I'm just seeing them get huge return. So it's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. But yeah, those are kind of my highlights.
It's all so great. And you are so good at that. You are so good at prioritizing relationships. And I think that it's so refreshing in a world that's just can be so like quick, and just the long-term relationships are so special, especially as female entrepreneurs. And I feel so honored and grateful to, cultivate this friendship with you
Yeah,
and support you and Maria, and just the importance of what you are all doing in Canada and in the US. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing so much knowledge. I felt like we went in a few different directions, but maybe I was just like selfishly wanting to know all of the things from you, but I know my audience is going to love this. So thank you, Kristina. Where can they go to find out more about Social Snippet, High Vibe Women, like all of your podcasts, all the things?
Yeah, well, Kylie will be on my podcast shortly, and I host a community podcast where I teach all things like networking, events, marketing, growing your business using community and social. So love that. So would love to see you over there. Any friend of Kylie's is a friend of mine. So feel free to DM me. Let me know what has resonated, or what you're gonna try, or if anything kind of hit for you. I would love to hear. But the best place would be on Instagram. Just come say hi. I love connecting with people, and I love to see like what's possible. Like I think there's always just so much magic, and my life's been changed by listening to podcasts. And so whether it's this one or whatever podcast you're listening to, I think there's just so much potential. So can't wait to connect with people.
Oh, thank you so much, Kristina.
My pleasure.